Hey guys, FilmCrazyAdam here. I was going to actually make this a little bit more of a high-octane review because I looked back at my other reviews and they weren't really high energy, and I was going to do that for this review. In fact, I'd already filmed this review. But, you know, if you don't know yet, there was that fatal shooting where 12 people were killed at a midnight showing of The Dark Knight Rises in Colorado. So, you know, out of respect for the victims and their family, I'm gonna keep it low key. I'm not gonna really be high octane on this one. So, but I still am gonna give a little bit of a review of Dark Knight Rises. Now, I'm not gonna give a really in-depth review because this movie is really one that you have to see, and I can't really get too far into it without getting into spoilers, like really big-time spoilers. So, I'll tell you this, that you need to see. This is a movie in a trilogy. This movie finishes the trilogy and ends the Christopher Nolan Batman series. And it was done masterfully. It was done so well. So well. The writing, the directing, just Chris Nolan is a master when it comes to filmmaking. Like, I know I said Joss Whedon was a filmmaking god after I saw the Avengers movie, and he is. Joss Whedon is kind of in this. He's kind of in a more comedic camp, I guess. Whereas Christopher Nolan is more in like a serious, less funny, more nitty gritty, more dramatic sense. So they're both really, you know, Joss Whedon and Chris Nolan are really my all-time favorite movie filmmakers. But back to the movie. So, yeah, you know, again, I can't get into this movie. I can't get into this review too deep, or really all that deep at all. I can basically tell you that this is a great movie. Fantastic movie. If you are looking for a movie like Dark Knight and Batman Begins, where there's a lot of fighting, a lot of Batman on screen, I will tell you this, you're not going to get it. This is a very intricate story with a lot of moving pieces and a lot of characters, but there's not a lot of Batman. This movie's like 2 hours, 45 minutes, and I believe he's on screen for maybe in the neighborhood of 20 minutes. Well, Batman, like cape, cowl, armor. Batman in full suit, in his full suit, is on screen for maybe 20 minutes. I mean, Bruce Wayne has a lot of screen time. My God, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, so much screen time. I mean, I can't really talk about him too much either, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character, without kind of getting into spoilers. I will say this, though, I was a little confused. This happens early on in the movie where Joseph Gordon-Levitt he goes to Wayne Manor. He talks to Bruce Wayne. And this is right after Bane has arrived in Gotham and things are starting to get a little rocky. Things are starting to seem bad. And Joseph Gordon-Levitt goes to Wayne Manor, asks to see Bruce Wayne, and then very non-discreetly but very directly basically says, "Yeah, I know you're Batman. I know who you are, I know you're Batman, and we need Batman back." And that was never really explained. I mean, he kind of, like, Bruce actually, like, what makes you think I'm Batman? And Joseph Gordon-Levitt just kind of like, oh, well, there was this one time I met Batman, or I met you, and I just knew. Okay, I guess. That's really the only flaw I could really find in this movie is just that one thing where he just knows. So, other than that, great movie. Joseph Gordon-Levitt, fantastic character. Tom Hardy, impossibly great as Bane. And I'm not sure if it was the mask on him, or maybe he was just doing this impression on purpose, but he sounded like he was doing kind of a Sean Connery impression, which lended itself to Bane's character. You see, Bane in this movie, alright, you know how the Scarecrow in Batman Begins and then the Joker in The Dark Knight, those two characters were really in it just to F with people. We were just going to frack with people. we're going to cause chaos. We're going to cause mayhem. And we're doing it just to watch the world burn. And so, when they did evil things, you really felt kind of, I guess, vengeful and hurt. Like, you wanted to get back at the Riddler. I mean, not the Riddler, I'm sorry. You really wanted to get back at the Joker and the Scarecrow when they did the things they did, because they were kind of doing it to be just vicious. Bane is 10 times more brutal than either of those two. Than either the Joker or the Scarecrow. But you get this sense that it's all part of the plan. I'm not doing this to be a dick. I am killing you and destroying your city because it's all part of the plan. It's just business. This is not personal. Not personal at all. Like, you really got the sense that he felt like he was on a mission, you know. And in some ways he was, but I'm not going to spoil that. He was on a mission, and he had orders, he had a plan, he was just following the plan. He was happy to do the plan, but it was all part of the plan. This isn't personal. You know, aside from the genocide, you'd almost say, hey, Bane's not a half bad guy, because he really comes across as, I want to say, almost like a professional. There's more I can talk about, but again, I'd be getting into spoilers, like really big spoilers. This movie, there was a lot of hype behind this movie. For that record, this movie is the most hyped movie of the year. If you doubt me, well, let me explain something. The movie theater that I go to is about 10 miles down the road. It's an average theater, it's pretty big. You know, 20, I think like 20, 24 screens in there. And they were showing, the day it came out on Friday, they were showing Dark Knight Rises from the time they open at 10:30, 11 a.m. to the time they close at 12:30, 1 a.m. the next night. They were showing The Dark Knight Rises every single half hour. So, every single half hour there was a showing of that movie, which is like, what is that? God, it's like almost 30 showings of that movie. And they were all sold out. My friends and I wanted to go see at the theater down the road from me. We were going to go see it at that theater because that's the one we always go to. Could not get tickets. I called up my friend on Thursday. It's like, should we buy tickets? Should we buy advance tickets, get these ahead of time? And he says, I'll do it. And then, long story short, is we went to a theater about 20 miles down the road that way, or 15 miles down the road that way, and I was like, why are we going to this one? He's like, oh, I tried to get advance tickets, but the only tickets that were available were Sunday. So this movie sold out every single showing in this theater, all day Friday, all day Saturday. The next available tickets was Sunday. That is how highly anticipated this movie was. You know what? Twilight can't even make that boast. But so, yeah, that's how highly anticipated this movie was this year. And again, I'm going to wrap up the review at this point because I can't get much further into it without getting into spoilers. All you have to know is that it's a really good movie. You got to go see it. You have to see Dark Knight, the second one, Dark Knight with the Joker. You have to see that one before you see this one because there's a lot of events that you have to be aware of, that you have to know. There's characters you have to know that don't necessarily show up in this one, that you have to be aware of, that you have to know of before you go see this movie. You're going to be lost if you don't. And I can say that this wraps up and ends the Batman trilogy in a great way. A great way. You know, it really kind of hurts that I can't talk about some of this movie. But I will end it by saying, you know, I wanted to make this a little bit more high octane, this review, and I will have those coming up. But again, out of respect for all those that died and all those injured, you know, I think, you know, my heart goes out to them because my little sister actually went to a midnight showing. So when I heard there was a shooting, my heart was right up here in my throat. So, yes, my heart goes out to them, and I just want to say, what the hell? Why would somebody do that? Why would somebody go to a theater, some sick frack, go to a theater and just unload during a Batman movie? Those are comic book fans. Those are nerds. Those are people who are just out to see a movie. Nerds are the most harmless people in the universe. You'll never find anyone less harmless than a nerd. And you just go shoot them? Anyway, my heart goes out to those. Go see Dark Knight Rises. It is a fantastic movie. It's a great movie. It's just as good as Avengers, but in a different vein. Like I said, it's more serious, and it wraps up a really good story. And it does it really well. Like, people try to end trilogies or try to wrap up stories, and they usually fail. Brutally, horribly fail. This is the opposite of brutal and horrible failure. Anyway, I'm FilmCrazyAdam, and I know I keep saying it, but please bear with me. I have a review coming out. I have an explanation to everything that's happened so far, and I'll be ideally it will be out by the end of this week. So I'm FilmCrazyAdam, signing off.